listen, it is an incredible way to drive awesome retention, referrals, right? And all of that, of course, translates into revenue. You know, at the end of the day, you cannot out-gift the revenue that you're going to get in return for this. This is like, I'm giving everybody the green light here. I'm going to challenge you.
Hello and welcome to the Remarkable CEO Podcast, a show dedicated to chiropractors who want to transform their job into a business so that they can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. With your hosts, Dr. Pete Camiolo and Dr. Stephen Franson.
What's up, Remarkables? Welcome back to another episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast. I'm Dr. Stephen Franson.
And I'm Dr. Pete Camiolo.
Hey, we are hoping that today's episode is going to feel like a gift to you because we're going to teach you how to drive more new patient referrals into your practice, doing what is arguably the most entertaining, enjoyable, most fun marketing initiative you could possibly do, and that is establishing an awesome, dare I say, remarkable gifting system in your practice. Dr. Pete, we're going to get after it today.
Yeah, I love that we're doing this, Dr. Stephen, and here's the reason why, because you do such a good job of this. And I'm gonna go ahead and throw myself under the bus right here and say, I did not do a great job of this in practice. I did not do a great job of the gifting system. So I will tell you something right now. I know probably a lot of you chiropractors are wired like me, and you maybe don't think about giving gifts to people. My thing was just how do we reach more people, and I was just bullish about that. So we had a huge practice. We helped a lot of people, but we had a blind spot on the area of gifting. And this is an area I just wanted to say that at the beginning of this episode, because I'm not going to sit here and tell you, I had mastery in this area. I didn't. This is actually an area where I struggled. It didn't mean I wasn't successful in practice, incredibly successful in business. But the reality was this is an area that it was an untapped area that I have had a level of frustration about because I knew it existed, but I didn't take advantage. I just didn't do it. Dr. Stephen, so this is going to be a really good episode for us all, for our podcast listeners, CEOs in business. This may be an area where you struggle, okay? And guess what? It's okay. It's okay. You don't have to be awesome at everything. You just need to have a team that's awesome at everything.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
So this is one of those episodes that it's going to convict you a bit, but it's also hopefully going to inspire you and challenge you, because we're going to share some things today that I think are really going to equip you too. So, Dr. Stephen, I can't think of a better episode and topic for our CEOs and listeners than this one right now.
Yeah, I'm psyched. And I'm going to give credit where credit's due. I was raised by Mickey Franson, whose love language is gift giving, no question about it. So my mom is excellent. I mean, she's excellent at gift giving. I mean, she's a world-class mom and an absolutely world-class grandmother. I was raised in a house where, to this day, we get St. Patrick's Day cards. So, forget Christmas. Christmas is embarrassing, right? So Easter, if you come to our house at Easter, we have this huge Easter celebration, and we have everyone gets an Easter basket. I mean, if you've never met my family before and you're a guest, like somebody's boyfriend or girlfriend, a cousin came in or whatever, you're going to have a full-fledged Easter. I mean, it's just off the charts. So, being raised by Mickey, gifting became just, it was very natural for me, right? So, and when somebody finally gave me permission to gift our patients, and then I got the inside word that, listen, it is an incredible way to drive awesome retention, referrals, right? And all of that, of course, translates into revenue. At the end of the day, you cannot out-gift the revenue that you're going to get in return for this. This is like, I'm giving everybody the green light here. I'm going to challenge you. Prove me wrong. If you follow this, what I'm going to say right now, it's going to energize your team because they're going to have a lot of fun doing it. It's going to energize your patient base. It's going to energize your referrals like crazy, and it's going to drive better compliance and retention. I mean, right? We always say we're in the compliance business. I don't know, Dr. Pete. Maybe we're in the gifting business.
I think we are. I think, as I explore this more, and I've learned more about this, and I remember reading some things on gifting. One of the books I know that really inspired you more recently, this was decades after you've been doing it, but it was John Ruhlin's book, Giftology. I thought that really opened my eyes to see. And I remember I received a gift. I went to speak at an event for a group that I was working with, and I was speaking at the event. I received a gift. And it was amazing. Like, it really impacted me. And then I show up to the event, and the guy who's speaking on the stage right before me is this guy, John Rulin, and he does his whole talk about the gifts. And then I'm sitting there in the audience like, oh, I'm putting two and two together here. Like, this guy influenced this company that I went to speak for, and he had such an impact. Like, his talk was done. He didn't even need to talk. The talk was done. The moment he got up and said, I was like, I already felt all of the emotion. My wife and I felt it. I was so moved by it. I told people about it. I forever will remember it. And it was like, check. Everything he taught was going to happen. Like, I'm like, that already happened for me.
I personally experienced it. Yeah.
So powerful. So yeah, this is, let's jump in, Dr. Stephen. So like everything with the remarkable, it's always systematized.
That's
so
right.
Dr. Stephen, let's jump in. There's a system to this. There's a method to this. And we're gonna unpack it now.
Yeah, let's point out some places where people fail at this, right? So number one, they don't have a system in place, so they're trying to make it up as they go, which you might get away with that at a certain volume, a certain size business, certain level of complexity and sophistication. But memory management is the wagon wheels start falling off at some point, right? So then next thing you know, you forget some part of it, whether you forget to gift somebody, or you forget to stock gifts and resupply the gifts, right? Next thing you know, that becomes this clunky, cumbersome thing, and it becomes the 800-pound gorilla. You have to systematize this so you're not using memory management. And if you systematize it, you can delegate it, right? So you're not doing it yourself, right? So again, set up expectations and agreements, give them a system, train them up, train but trust but verify, right? So it's like now you have a system that somebody on your team can run for you. That creates a level of automaticity to it, right? And it has to be funded, right? Like I said, you can't possibly outspend it, right? So it's like, go ahead and try. It's a lot of fun to try, right? So you cannot outgift. I love the expression, you can't outgive God, right? So it's like you can't outgift your patients. The law of reciprocity rules, and people will feel obligated, frankly, to support you in your business because they know that you gave them something that was heartfelt and genuine. It was a surprise, and really it energized every aspect of your practice and their practice experience. So we're going to talk about two different primary categories of gifting. You've got process-driven gifting, which is what I'm referring to right now, and that is a proactive system that you put in place that essentially follows the timeline of a patient experience, where you're gifting along the timeline of their patient journey. And then there's responsive gifting, which is more reactive, right? Which is when somebody does something for you, so they write a review for you, they write a testimonial for you, they give you a 5-star review, they refer somebody into your practice, so there's a connection that's made. They connect you to their gym or some company, whatever, right? So there's two different types: process-driven, which is proactive, and responsive gifting, which is reactive.
Yeah, I love how like type 1, type 2. It's like make it simple, like organize, systematize, and put it in place. Dr. Stephen, you shared about the problem. So there's really 3 things that I identified as the problem, even as I reflect back on my practice and time. Number 1 problem was there was no system in place. There was no system. We never established a system for it. Okay. And that was the first point of exposure. There was no system. There was some gifting going on, like you said. It was random though. It was based on inspiration. It was based on a need. It was based on in this moment I feel inspired to do something or convicted to do something, so I'm going to do it. We did that type of thing, but there was no system in place. That's number 1. So number 2 was there was no one accountable for that. Okay, there was no one that owned this. Okay, so guess who owned it? Me. Where was it owned though? In my head, because it wasn't written down. There was no system for it. So I owned it in my head. And guess what happens when you own it in your head? You don't have it written down. There's no accountability. It leads to frustration, right? Because you're dropping the ball, and next thing you know, you beat yourself up, and that's negative energy. And we know when our energy goes flat or down, so does our business. So that's a problem. So that I didn't have. I did not have anyone accountable. Nobody owned this, right? And then number 3 was there was no budget in place for it. We didn't have an allotted amount of revenue that we were going to put aside for it. And that probably was the key, because it's going to cost you something, and you see it as a cost versus an investment. And you're like, man, I'm not spending money on that. So Dr. Stephen, let's talk about this. Okay. We're going to get practical, and let's dig in, because those 3 areas are 3 areas where there was a point of exposure I know in my business, So I love to talk about this for all of our docs and CEOs who are listening here now. So let's go through the first type, process driven, and I'd like to just unpack this a little bit deeper.
Yeah. So instead of relying on inspiration and then, of course, your perspiration and eventually having your frustration, right? So we'll have a system in place that just is automated, right? So that's going to be a big key to this, right? So the idea around having an automated system that you can delegate so that somebody else on your team owns it, right? So they literally, I like to check in CA, who is the person who owns internal marketing, internal promotion, and internal lead generation in my world, right? So they would be the person that would own the gifting system. That makes sense. It's internal marketing, right? So internal lead generation. It would fall under the internal lead generation budget, your internal marketing budget. So let's talk about how do you set aside a budget for it so that you understand how you're going to pay for everything I'm about to describe in this process-driven system. So you guys know the rule of the jungle is we want to allocate 8 to 12% of our top line revenue goal of where we're going to land at any given time period towards marketing budget, right? So that's your marketing spend. So if you recognize, hey, I've got a goal to get to X number, so I want to get to $300,000 in collections in fourth quarter of 2022. I want to do $100,000 a month over the next 3 months. I want to get to $300,000 in the fourth quarter. Then 8 to 12% is the budget for your marketing to get you there. You're investing to get there. If you want to hear more about how to set up a marketing plan and a marketing budget, we have multiple episodes on how to really actually sit down and grind out your marketing budget. But that's loosely how you're going to get there. And that's not even loosely. That's exactly how you're going to get there. 8 to 12% of your top line revenue goal. So if you were to say, all right, so let's pick a number, 10%. 10% of 300,000 is 30,000. So now you have a $30,000 marketing spend for fourth quarter 2022 that you're going to invest to reach your goals by the end of fourth quarter 2022. So now you got 30 grand. Well, we know there's 3 tributaries of new patients. In other words, there's internal, external, and digital new patient lead generation. So you got internal marketing, external marketing, and digital marketing. So let's say that 30 grand you're going to spend over fourth quarter. Let's say 10 grand, a third of it's going to go to internal, 10 grand is going to go to external activities, and 10 grand is going to go to digital activities. Just for, for the sake of, no brain damage here, we'll keep it simple math. We did a third, and a third there. So now you've got $10,000 to spend in internal marketing for fourth quarter 2022, right? So now we have a budget. There's 10 grand. Now there's going to be a percentage of that are going to go towards different events and different campaigns, and maybe you're buying posters or whatever you're doing the internal marketing, right? But make sure you're allocating a big portion of that internal marketing spend towards your gifting program. So everybody see that, right? So we've just allocated monies and we're like, okay, check in CA. You now have a $10,000 budget in fourth quarter to follow this system that we're about to lay out, right? So another question people will ask is, well, how do you determine how much to spend on a gift, right? So in the industry, a good rule of thumb, a heuristic on this is 5% of whatever your sale will be, right? So if you have a $1,000 care plan, for example, you can feel very comfortable spending 5% on that. So you'd have a $50 gift. A $3,000 care plan would be a $150 gift. So Dr. Pete, those are 2 rules of thumb for everybody to help them land at, like, what should my budget be for internal marketing gifting spend?
So I'm going to just continue on this thread. This is so good. So if you look ahead to, let's say this quarter, where you're listening to this is in fourth quarter. So even if you look ahead and look to Q1 of next year, and you say, okay, in January, February, March, or let's say it's this quarter, it's October, November, December, and you look at it and you said we have $10,000 for the quarter. You need to look at your marketing calendar and say, okay, what do we have coming up this quarter? All right, so we're going to do a Thanksgiving drive. We're going to do a Christmas drive. We're going to do a patient appreciation event. We're going to do a couple workshops. We've got all things going on internally, so we know what are all the things that we're going to be investing in to pull that off. And so recognize that the answer to the question from the budget perspective, as far as where is that money going to go, it needs to be, you need to look through the lens of the marketing calendar and plan and calendar that you've already created, right? So that's where you can then determine where does that money go. And this is where you can get what we call resourceful and creative, because you might say, we could actually pull this event off and not have to spend a lot of money there by leveraging our partners in the community and actually take some of that percentage and use that more towards this gifting this fourth quarter, because we really want to do an end of the year gift and celebration with so many of our active patients and people that are coming up, right? So you get to be creative here, working with your team. So Dr. Steven, I love that framework. I know we use, kind of round numbers, but it's really simple if you start to think ahead and using the budget. So it's a powerful, powerful framework.
I think it's critical that whenever you start an initiative like this is that you identify where's the time, energy, focus, and money going to be coming from. Okay. So we've just identified, it's like, okay, so I understand how we're going to fund it. The time, energy, focus. Well, I'm going to delegate this. Once I systematize it, I can delegate it to a team member, right? So you have to account for where's the time, energy, focus, and money. So let's talk about like, what does this look like real time? So we'll just give you some ideas as we go. If you follow the patient process, we're going to use the Remarkable Practice System, of course. So day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, right? So we're going to go right through in a chronological fashion, like what would gifting look like in our practice. I'm going to go fast and furious with this so we can cover a lot, because I know you guys want ideas, right? So I can tell you on day 1, somebody coming in at the end of day 1, at checkout at day 1 is when we would give them their first gift, right? So the first gift would be a surprise to them. They haven't converted to the practice yet. They haven't started. They just scheduled their report of finance. They've just had their first day, right? So we would gift them with a water bottle, right? So we have these sexy bonfire program water bottles that we had made up. We would give them a business card with the bonfire wellness lifestyle program that they would get access to as our patient. We would introduce them to the bonfire program. My team would be like, do you know Dr. Franson was one of the co-authors of the bonfire program? So go and check this out. The bonfire program is designed to help you adopt 39 good habits into your life over 90 days for free, right? So the first good habit you're going to learn is about water and drinking more water. And the research shows that if you carry a water bottle, those people that carry a water bottle consume 63% more water than those that don't have a water bottle. And we want to set you up for success here at Franson Family Chiropractic. So welcome to our tribe. Here's your water bottle, right? So the people would be blown away from the very beginning, like, wow, there was so much there for them to be wow about, right? So, and what it does is it not only wows them, but it actually sets up a law. It's called the law of reciprocity, where now at this point, there's the scales have been tipped, and now they feel like, man, they just want to give back to our practice, right? So day 1 is the kickoff. It's the first gift. The next time they got a gift from us was at day 4, which is at the Better Results Faster workshop. We would give them a friends and family referral package, right? So it'd be book and coupons, etc. So that would be on day 4. The next time they got a gift would be at the progress exam progress reports. So their first and second progress exam progress reports. We would give them a token that recognized their commitment. Hey, congratulations, you made it to your first progress exam progress report. These tokens, we actually had a relationship with the smoothie bar down the hall, where we made Bonfire Health smoothies. So there had all these different cool names for these smoothies that had to do with chiropractic and wellness, etc. And they could go down and they could turn this token in that they'd get a $5 smoothie, which it cost us $2.50 for these tokens. And frankly, the smoothie shop loved us because we had 300 people a day coming into the practice like you guys, Dr. Pete. Well, so we'd send a couple hundred people a day down the hall doing their quote unquote dock walk after their adjustment to go get their smoothies, right? So they loved us. So we had a beautiful relationship with the smoothie shop down the hall. Then as it came into like the R4 re-sign and the R5 re-sign, I love to give books because the books have a message, and we would have a whole cabinet full of books that we would choose from, like 20 different titles. We would say, here you go, Dr. Pete. This is a book from me to you. This is a book I feel you should be reading right now. This is a message for you where you are in your journey right now. And I would take my business card and put it in the book, and I would highlight a specific paragraph because I was very intentional about what book I gave them. And I know, Dr. Pete, they were reading that book in my voice, right? So the whole time they'd be like, we would be driving a greater empathetic connection and a stronger relationship. They would get that 2 weeks before their re-sign as they come into the R4 and the R5, right? They just appreciated that so much. Then we had all kinds of anniversary gifts that were associated with it. And most of those gifts, we would buy gift certificates to our patients' businesses. So other patients, we'd support their sandwich shop, or if they had a car wash, or they had a restaurant, or any type of industry, whether it's massage therapy or spas or whatever, we'd buy gift certificates and we would use those to gift at anniversaries. Man, I love the process-driven, proactive gifting system because it took 0 brain cells on my part, and man, it happened for everyone every time.
Man, it's just so powerful. I know everybody's taking notes, and here's what I'm going to say to some of you ambitious people out there. Pick one to start. Pick one. Everybody's like, all right, we're going to institute it all, and your team is going to roll their eyes and be like, you've got to be kidding me, doc. So pick one. Let's start with one. If you haven't been doing this, let's get it going. So a couple of things you talked about. Number one is it's process driven. Number two, it's automatic. So make sure you use your EHR, set up alerts in the system. Prompt this to be reminded. Make sure that, like you said, you have accountability around inventory and you stay ahead of this. You got to stay a month ahead. You got to know everybody that's coming up in the month, this next month for their R4, 5, 6. Make sure we have enough of all of the quote unquote gifts so that when we get to that month, we're not scrambling that day like, oh, shoot, we're out of water bottles or we're out of gift cards or tokens or whatever it might be. So stay ahead of this, guys. That's the big thing about what we call preparing, right? So you prepare, make sure that's happening. All right, Dr. Steven. Second thing I want to talk about is type 2 gifting, which is responsive gifting or reactive gifting, which again, we talked about a couple examples might be if someone left you or gave you a 5-star review, or they wrote a review, or they gave you a testimony, or they connected you with another business or an opportunity to expand and get the message out to more people. These are just maybe a few examples of that. Dr. Steven, how would you respond then as an office with a responsive type gift? What did that look like?
Yeah, so, with somebody gave us a 5-star review, we had t-shirts that actually had 5 stars on the sleeve, on the shoulder, right? So it was a special t-shirt that we had, and we always had a pro shop where we'd be displaying what we had up. If people would ask us, well, oh, I love that 5-star too. How do I get that? It's very simple. Leave us a 5-star review. So if they left us a review, they'd get the 5-star t-shirt. So they loved that. Or we had the referral of the month t-shirt. So we also had fun expressions on our t-shirts that, it'd say like, if your spine were on your face, you'd take better care of it. Or, it's like the print would be upside down and would say, if you could read this shirt, please pick me up and bring me back to my chiropractor, right? So we had like all these really fun expressions all over our shirts. And the only way you could get the t-shirt of the month, they were always different colors, right? They'd be pinned all around the office, is you had to refer somebody to the office. So you couldn't buy them, right? You couldn't buy them. You actually had to refer somebody into the practice, right? So if somebody left a testimonial for us, if a testimonial is so powerful, right? We would gift them with the thank you gift, but even more powerfully, we'd send a thank you card to the person that referred them, right? So if it was one of our patients, or maybe it was a company where we met them, or a gym where we met this patient, whoever was our connection to this person, how we found this person, we would send them a thank you card that said, hey, Dr. Pete, I wanted you to read this testimonial from Mary. I know that you're going to get a lot, you're going to appreciate reading it like I did. And if it were not for you sending Mary our way, we never would have been able to help her. So, enjoy reading this. I hope you enjoy reading this testimony as much as I did. That was such a home run, man. It's like people would read that and be like, they'd be knocking themselves out trying to refer another person to your office. That's like $1 million gifting idea. Same thing with connections. When people connect you, like with networking, if they connect you to their church or to their gym or to their school or to their business or what have you, so their team, you name it, you want to be gifting them on the other side of it. So that would be the responsive gifting and the reactive, if you will, the reactive gifting. So yeah, it just comes down to just doing it in a genuine way and doing it with unconditional love and making sure that people know that you saw what they did and you appreciate their effort and their commitment, their energy. And it's just a great way to show love to your patients.
So you guys heard it here. This is, we're just, kind of like scratching the surface here today. This is the type of conversation that we have on this podcast. Dr. Steven, I thank you for unpacking that here today. It's so valuable. And again, you guys heard it here. It's about harnessing the power of gifting. It's about having a system in place and remembering the truth is this, that you cannot out-gift people. Please stick around for more business insights from this week's bonus interview with our remarkable success partner, dedicated to helping you more successfully help more people. Enjoy. All right, Remarkable CEO podcast people, I am thrilled to be in the studio today with my friend Adriana from Chiro Matchmakers. And I was trying to calculate how many emails I've sent to you over the years, introducing you to different doctors who are searching for that next great team member. And you guys are amazing at helping chiropractors do that. And I'm thrilled to have you on our podcast as a guest today. And I'm glad I get to interview you today, Adriana, because I know you've done just such an amazing work with helping doctors build remarkable teams. And I know your commitment. So you are a success partner of the Remarkable Practice, and that is why you're here with me today. So again, I just want to tell you, thank you for being a part of helping our doctors help more people and taking the time today to meet with me. First thing I want to do is just have a little, meet and greet. So if you would tell our audience who you are and who you are as part of Chiro Matchmakers, maybe a little bit how you got to this point. I think it'd be awesome for people to get to know you a little bit.
Of course. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be a part of your podcast. At this point, I think we have exchanged hundreds and hundreds of emails. So it is amazing when we can help each other, help more people. My name is Adriana Loya. I am the director of placement for Chiro Matchmakers. I started as a front desk CA over 13 years ago. I completely fell in love with chiropractic and saw the benefits in myself and in my family. Then I became the office manager. And then at a point, I was running several chiropractic offices in New Mexico. And then, after a few years doing that, we opened up Chiro Matchmakers out of our own need to find the right person for the positions that we had available. And then mainly from our own pain points of losing associates, of, losing great relationships with people that we really loved and cared for, but they were just not the person for the position that we had. And so, through learning and a lot of pain, we opened up the company so that we could help more people.
I love it. And you guys are doing it. And I love that you're speaking from a place of scar tissue. You talked about the pain. And I love that your journey started, as you talked about, right at the front desk, and you ascended into the position of an office manager. Here you are managing multiple clinics and dealing with the pain points. So I love that you can relate so much with the docs who are listening to this right now. And again, I greatly appreciate the work that you do. In the Remarkable Practice, Remarkable CEO, we teach the concept of the 4 rights. You got to get the right person in the right role, doing the right work the right way. And CMM helps doctors do that. Can you share with us a little bit about, we talk about how every business exists to solve a problem for another person. And the other person for us is a chiropractor, right? Or a doctor who's an owner looking to build their team, or a doctor who's looking to join a team. Can you talk a little bit about the specific problems that you would say we solve at CMM, Chiro Matchmakers? How would you respond to that?
Yeah, so most businesses' problems are people problems, right? Yeah. If you don't have the right team in place, you cannot achieve the goals that you want to achieve. So our business is dedicated to helping chiropractors, either business owners that are looking to expand, grow their team, hire the right person so that they can put them in the right seat in the bus so that they can do amazing things for the company. And we also help doctors that are looking to join an established, thriving team. Maybe doctors that, they're passionate about being doctors, they want to take care of patients, but they don't really want to run a business. Or maybe they don't have the experience to run a business. So what we do is we match businesses with talent, whether it's an associate, it's a CA, an office manager, a marketing person, and we match them in a way that ensures that their relationship is going to be successful because the person is going to be naturally hardwired for the type of the job that they're going to take on that practice. And so it's amazing to see how we are actually helping those businesses solve their people problems.
It's interesting. I love the language that you use, matchmaking and connecting, the talent with the opportunity, getting the right opportunity and the right talent to come together. I think that's a really important concept. And I like to just talk about that a little bit, because I think a lot of times, as business owners, maybe we've had, maybe even like from your experience, we've had failure in that. Like we've tried to hire in the past, it just hasn't worked out. So we kind of get, disenfranchised with the whole process, and we just give up, or we just get frustrated with the whole thing. And it's like, well, what can you guys do that we don't do? Can you talk a little bit about how you do the matchmaking? Because I think that element is just one of the things that sets you guys apart, that just makes it truly a remarkable business.
Yeah, so what we do is we take a look at the practice style, practice culture, the techniques that the doctor needs to be able to do in the office when talking about matching associates. We also take a look at patient approach, we match candidates on a behavioral standpoint. So let me give you a very simple example. If a practice is looking for a doctor that is able to help them with new patient attraction, new patient conversion, maybe do marketing for them, well, that requires a very special type of person that can do really well in that type of job description. And a lot of times as business owners, we make the mistake of trying to make somebody fit into a job description that really goes against how they're naturally hardwired, and they don't do well. And we get frustrated, they get frustrated, then the relationship goes south pretty quickly. And we either end up firing them or they quit on us because they're frustrated within that position. So you need to make sure that you have a very clear job description. What are the main goals for the position? And then you need to find the person that actually matches on a behavioral standpoint so that they're not having to force themselves to do something that they're just really not comfortable with. And so our process goes in depth into what are the practice dynamics? What are the goals for this new hire? Are they going to be an associate, for a lifetime? Do they need somebody that can help them grow and expand the business? Or do they need somebody that can help them maintain the adjustments and the patients that they already have in the practice? And so we look at all of those aspects, and then we go find those people that actually fit that innately hardwired type of personality.
So what you're basically saying, if I'm listening to this and I'm, let's say a CEO and I'm an owner and I'm looking to maybe bring in some talent in the next 3 to 6 months, and you're telling me that you will actually help me understand the type of business and practice that I have so that I can clearly create and identify the role that I'm looking for, so that then you can help me find that right fit for that role. Because I think a lot of doctors maybe don't know how to even do that. Like, how do I just describe and determine what the role might be that I need? Are you saying that your organization helps us even do that part as well?
Definitely. That is a huge portion of our process. Is first, we want to understand you so that we can help you. And sometimes, like you said, business owners, they're so busy running their practices and they know that they need extra help, but they don't really know where they want to go with this. So a lot of what we do is sit down with that practice owner and really help them understand their goals in practice, even if they have an exit strategy and what they want this new person to be able to do in their practice. And then we help them find it.
Man, that's amazing. And then obviously from the talent side, thinking about the talent coming in, you talked about how 95% of our problems are people problems. And, we know that I think somewhere in the ballpark of 67% of, associate doctor relationships end badly. In other words, they fail. We want to avoid that. And I know that the track record that Chiro Matchmakers has is significantly higher than that, which is amazing. So you're saying that as a talent coming in, they also have the opportunity to assess and analyze themselves. You're able to assess the talent and say, okay, so I'm clear now on my job description and the role that I have and the functions of that role and what the outcomes are that we want that role to create. Now I can actually also have clarity on is this person the right fit for that? So it's not just about you getting clear as the owner on what it is that you need. It's also you getting clear on who it is that's coming in and seeing, do they actually fit? And that's a huge part of what you do, correct?
Yeah, 100%. And we also help the talent. We help associate doctors really understand their own practice style, their own goals, what type of practice they want to join. Because a lot of times what happens is, the associate, the talent is looking for a position and they join a practice that maybe is not the best fit for their goals in practice. And then the relationship doesn't work out. So we also do a lot of coaching and mentoring with the talent to help build them up and help them understand, okay, this is the type of practice that I want to join. And then if we have that practice, then we get them connected.
I mean, so if you're listening to this and you're the owner, I mean, this is just huge. But if you're also considering yourself as, let's say, the talent who's looking to find a right fit, it's amazing. So they, obviously you're going to want to be connected with an organization like CMM. So you're not just trying to, wing it and figure it out on your own. I mean, get connected with an organization that can actually help you find the right fit for yourself. That's huge. I mean, I know that years ago when I was hiring a bunch of associates, and even years and years before that, when I was an associate, none of this even existed. It was just, you just tried to, kind of hope in a prayer that's going to work out, and that was, how a lot of us, I think, walked through it, and it wasn't pretty for many people. So, we talk a lot in this program and the Remarkable CEO podcast here about the limited resources that we have as humans and as leaders, and how, a CEO will leverage their money to buy someone else's time, energy, and focus so they can continue to grow and scale their business and carve out maybe just a little bit more time. So a lot of the owners who are listening to this are very, very busy. Like you said, they're over leveraged. They don't, the time is not on their side. I mean, they're really just trying to just grab a little bit more here and there. And so this is an issue. And so we talk a lot about leverage. So what does it look like as a business owner for myself to leverage an organization such as yours? Like what does that look like for us to do that?
It gives you so much more time freedom. Imagine needing to hire a CA or an associate, and you're having to sort through hundreds of resumes, post your own ads, do your initial rounds of interviews. I mean, the doctor should spend their time doing what they do best, which is being a doctor and not being a recruiter, right? Doctors went to school to be chiropractors. A lot of them are amazing business owners, and they did not go to school to be recruiters. So it is definitely something that needs to be outsourced, something that can be done by somebody else, and you can utilize your time better in other areas that are actually producing you a lot of money. And so, what we do is we take the process completely out of the doctor's hands so that they can focus on what they need to focus. And then once we have people that match all the criteria that they are looking for, then we present them to them. And then it's pretty easy for them to go through the next round of interviews and then choose who they want to hire, instead of the business owner having to do all of the groundwork and the data sifting. I mean, it's a crazy amount of time that it takes to sort through so many candidates.
And I'll speak to the loneliness. Like, it feels very lonely and overwhelming and daunting to just even think about hiring. And a lot of people just say, I don't even want to worry about that. And they just settle for, well, I guess I'll just stay kind of at this stage in my practice. And,
right.
With Chiro Matchmakers, it seems like, hey, you've got a partner now. You're not alone. Like, we're on your team. You're hiring us. We're actually on your team as a recruiter. And we're not going to send you somebody unless, it fits the criteria that we've determined together. And then that enables me to know, like, hey, I can stay focusing on my current team and my current business and building that, while on the other side, your team is working on finding us the next right fit for the positions that we have available. That's just awesome. That's leverage, folks. You're speaking into our listening, Adriana. You are for sure doing that. And we love, again, that we get to be a part of helping our doctors help more people by using leverage and leveraging Chiro Matchmakers. So last question I have for you, bonus question. How do our listeners get in contact with you? What's the best way to do that?
So our website is www.chiromatchmakers.com. My name is Adriana at chiromatchmakers.com.
Awesome. All right, crew. So another incredible podcast episode and an incredible interview with Adriana from Chiro Matchmakers. You heard it said here. If you're looking to grow your team and build that remarkable team, which, again, to have a remarkable business, you got to have a remarkable team. Chiro Matchmakers is here to help you. Again, we're so grateful for you being a success partner with us and being a part of our podcast and making our podcast more awesome and amazing. For all of you listeners, thank you for joining us this week. And we look forward to picking up with our next episode next week. Until then, God bless.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast. Remember, what the world needs now is chiropractic. And what chiropractic needs now is more successful chiropractors. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, share with a friend, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with us personally, direct message us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Now go and be remarkable.